Hello there, hello there. Today we're going to be talking about sculpting the leg, so let us get right into it. Welcome to another uh, episode or class, Sculpting 1. We talked about the torso last week and completed that. Now we finished our lecture on the leg and the foot. And now we're going to take what we've learned into ZBrush and hopefully replicate what we've learned in there. Remember that these studies are to help you get understanding of the masses and the muscles, how they fit together. So when you're doing this, right, think about what's going on with the muscle, where it's starting, where it's ending, right? These things are very important. The transition of the muscle, how they fit in and out of each other. Like I said last week, I think of it like rope, right? Like that's tied up in different ways and twisting and turning, right? You know that it has two ends, right? It starts somewhere and ends somewhere. Think about it like that. And it might tangle up, but there's still a start and an end to it. So to avoid muscles that look like they're floating or bubble muscles, right? What we like to do is try to, practice this and try to practice where they start, where they end, how they connect with each other. All right. Let's dive in. So last week you should have gotten a copy of this. You should have gotten a copy of Sculpting the Leg in ZBrush. This is my reference for this study. I'm probably just gonna go to right here and then work from here, right? So I always have this up on another monitor or another screen or something, to use as my reference. All right. So now we're gonna get into ZBrush and I'll show you how to get this bad boy started. Obviously, we're gonna start from a Z-sphere this time. You can start with a Z-sphere. You can start with cylinder. You can start with a square, right? It's up to you. You can start with a sphere, right? So let's take a look at our Z-sphere we just appended here. All right. So right now it's in the pelvis. All right. So let's begin. I'm going to grab my move tool, right? And I'm going to use that to move our, all right. Just going to move it up a little bit like so. All right. And now if I hit X on my keyboard, I have my symmetry tool. Whoops. X. And then I can draw, right? Right. So I'm drawing. Now I can move these guys, right? Move them like so. I'm gonna rotate over here. Boom, like so. And then I'm gonna go back to my draw once again. Just gonna do the same thing. Draw one right there. And then I can even draw another one. All right, and I'm gonna move. Just gonna go in my left view first. Just gonna pull this guy down. I'm gonna pull this guy down as well. This will be like our thigh, it's a little thicker, got a little more trunk to it. All right, now I'm gonna go back to my front view here, right? So I'm moving these guys in their respective views, right? So you can see the legs aren't like straight up and down. They've got a bend to them in the front and in the side, all right? So now let's draw again. All right, actually I'm gonna draw two. If I hit one, whoops, sorry guys. If I hit one after I draw, it's gonna duplicate it and make another one. Whoops. So I'm going to go to W again, which is my move tool. All right. So now I've got that I can, boom, move. And if you're having trouble seeing what's going on, you can turn on transparency, or let's see. You can kind of see what's going on underneath. So I can then move this guy. I'm going to move this guy a little bit over, like so. And then let's move this one. I'm going to move it and use it for the ankle. And this will be our foot. Right, this might be the arch. So I'm going to do this like so. All right, and then the foot, I'm going to move this guy like so. And then I might want, oops. Just going to draw. All right, just like that. Then I'm going to move this guy back in place. All right. All right, and just like that, we've got our foot. I'm going to scale this guy up for the thigh a little bit, right? Then essentially like a calf. Then it goes down to the foot. I'm going to move this for the calf muscle back a little bit. I'm going to go here. All right, just for the calf, like that. So now if we look at our legs, we've got something like this. All right, so now we can go into our unified skin properties and our display, or there we go. So adaptive skin. And then I'm going to preview this from, Jesus Christ. This is horrible, so I'm going to take it down to 0, turn this off, turn it back on. All right, this is workable. I like the flow of the geometry. All right. Turn off preview. I'm gonna draw. All right. Let's preview this. Let's go density of 1 and see. All right, cool. Much simpler. I'm gonna make this an adaptive skin. All right. So now that I've made it an adaptive skin, I can go into my panel right here, and I should have this as an adaptive skin. Now it's on its own thing. I've made it editable in 3D, and I've also got polygroups here, right? So when I say polygroups, I mean these different colors are individual groupings. And if you hold down Control and Shift at the same time and click on them, you will be able to isolate each of these pieces. That's why polygroups are pretty useful to use whenever you're sculpting, because it allows you to isolate the different parts of the geo. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some overall kind of moving of the shape. So I'm going to just start with the BMV, which is the move tool. I'm just going to start pushing and pulling, right? Because my plan is to at some point remesh it, right? But I got to get to that point. All right, let's pull this down for kind of like a pelvis. Let's pull this up. And you know, yes, it's super low, but I have really good control. All right, so I can smooth. Oops, too much smooth. Shift. I'm gonna reduce this strength of my smooth a little bit here. All right, BCB. Let's turn off this guy. All right. And now this is cool. Now let's see if I can get a decent remesh from this guy. Our geometry. Z remesher, and I'm gonna do same, and then I'm gonna Z remesh it. All right, let's see what our geometry looks like. Much better geometry. All right, so we can start here. This is a good start. So I'm gonna go BCT, the clay tubes, and I don't want it to be super intense. All right, so I just want to add some of the masses to it. Just give it a little bit more mass. Just give it a little bit more mass, not a lot. All right, remember this is the skeletal form of a female, so you're gonna have different proportions to it. You know, the muscles usually, you know, the same, but it's just the proportion to their body is a little different, right? Because they require a little more fat than we do, but for the most part it's pretty much the same. So now I'm just gonna smooth, just gonna ankle this and smooth that out a little bit. All right, smooth it out. Go BMV. All right. All right. Now let's mess with the heel a little bit. All right. I'm just gonna pull this out. All right. In the front view, now you got to remember that the ankle itself kind of has a tilt, right? Like there's one right here, and then there's like the other ankle's a little further down. So those are some of the things you need to keep in mind. So I'm going to go to the top view now, right? I'm going to make this part like kind of like the widest part of the foot. Right, and you can see how low the geometry is that I'm working with, right? There's a reason. It gives me a lot of flexibility. Like I feel like I've been saying this so much, but it gives you so much flexibility if you aren't rushing to go into the next level. Right, go as far as you possibly can with this level. Go as far as you possibly can, right, with the low geometry. It's so much more forgiving, right, at this stage. And don't move on. Do not move on until you get to that last, like till you absolutely have to. All right, then the toes. A little out there like so. All right, so now we've got something that looks a little more like this. You got some big feet, but it's all good. All right, so now I'm going to divide it again. Let's turn off our poly frame over here. All right, and then shift to smooth it out. All right, shift to smooth it out. We've got something now like this. All right, the next step, right, is to now start identifying and placing these muscles where they belong. All right, so let us get that process started. I'm going to start from the front view. All right, let's pull this up a little bit. All right, actually I might divide it one more time. I'm going to go BDS. All right, so from the front view, Let's reduce the size of this. All right, let's go. And you guys know that I'm such a fan of just using the Damien standard tool for a good portion of identifying, placing the muscles. All right, so I'm just gonna act like this is the section. All right, and then gluteus maximus. All right. Maybe too intense. Not intense enough. I need to find my Goldilocks zone. Here we go. That's my Goldilocks zone right there. Just right. All right, so we're going to start with some of these bigger muscles. Remember, they kind of act like teardrops, right? And these muscles, right? So if we're gonna act like that's our knee, right? We got that, right? Because now I have my knee, right? It'll help me go, all right, there's this band that goes right from the bottom of the knee, right? Goes around the medialis muscle, which is this one right here, right? There's just this band, right? And maybe I should make it BCT. I'll make it out of, instead of that, I'll use this guy. And it starts at the iliac crest, right? The top of the pelvis. All right. And it goes all the way around. And then it comes and attaches right there. All right. And it kind of keeps these two groups, right? These two groups of muscles, it keeps them apart. Right, and the two groups of muscle are BCD, okay, BGS. All right. Another thing I can turn on is my lazy mouse. Now let's go to my stroke, just because I want these to be a little more crisp. Increase the steps, increase the smoothness a little bit. There we go. And the reason I do it over and over is because I want to make sure that I'm getting it right. Right? And the thing is, you have to do that. Like, you have to make sure you're putting it in the right place. And I like for you guys to see stuff like this, because then you know, oh, a lot of people just don't nail it the first time. Some people do nail it the first time. I'm just not one of those people. I'm one of those people who has to try it a few times, make sure, look at the reference, look back at my work, make sure that it's fitting and, you know, the thing is working. Right? So if there are people out there claiming, oh, you can just do, you know, you can just know it. No, bro. You need reference. You need reference. There's a lot of muscle in the human body, right? So there's another one that comes from right here, right? So this is the femoris muscle right here. It starts all the way at the top, iliac crest, and then, oops, boom. All right, so we've got boom, this, and now we've got the lateralis, right? And these are your quads, right? This is what makes up your quad, right? And it tapers right into the knee, and then you've got this guy that comes like so, boom. And you can usually see it from the back too. All right, it's a pretty big muscle. All right, so now I've kind of marked them up a little bit. Let's go to a little further down. Right, so we've got the tibialis anterior right here that we can kind of mark in. All right, and these all go right to the bottom of the foot essentially. And then kind of goes like this. Boom, a little wider, and then it tapers down in. All right, and that's a lot of these muscles, they get big and then they taper back in. They start and they finish somewhere. These guys all end right in there. Oops. Right in there. All right. So now I'm just working my way through the front, the back. All right. Now on the side of the muscle, we've got this guy right here. It should be a lot bigger. Let's make it a lot bigger. We've got there's something called the iliotibial tract right here that goes right under the knee, and I'm janking it up right now, but you see right there, it goes right under the knee. All right. We've got another one right here that kind of tapers out here. We've got the soleus, the longus, that all originate right here, and they kind of intertwine with each other, and they all taper down. Right, they all taper down into the foot, the ankle, all that. All right, now the back. All right, we've got a group of muscles here. Right, you can still see the lateralis from the back. Right, but then you also have your hammies, your hamstrings. Right, you've got the femoris, the lateralis, right in here. So right here, this first one that I'm putting up is the femoris, and this goes around. All right, we're gonna go right here, boom, and then it goes all the way down and around, and it kind of envelops what will be your calf muscles. All right, and you've got a couple of these back here. And this guy splits off like so. Right, that muscle tapers. This goes right under the gluteus maximus, right, to connect up there. We've got our abductor group as well that you can start to see the inside, the interior of the top of the thighs. Right, we've got this abductor group. Sounds a little more sinister than it is, but they are they're a group of muscles that connect right at the base of the patella. Right, so they are very long muscles, and they go all the way down to the patella. And there's 3 or 4 of them in here, and they all do the same thing. And they all go down to the patella. All right. All right, now let's address the calf muscles. All right. Calf muscles kind of differ for everybody, right? But all you have to really remember is they start and they finish, right? Like everything else, it's got an origin, it expands out, right? And then it tapers back into the solus. All right, and we're going to do the same thing for this. So we're going to draw, right? Just draw. I'm going to make this one a little less big. And then, boom. Right, and there's some muscles. There's like a few smaller muscles in there. You don't need to really worry about that. You know, there's some of them that you have to put in just so it looks right, but there's some of them you can get away with not putting them in, just because there's larger muscle masses around it that'll help it. All right. And then on this sides of this, we've got the solus and the flexor. So when they go like this, they kind of follow this pattern like so. Boom, like that. Boom, like so. So we've pretty much kind of mapped out like a good portion of this, right? I'm going to include, boom, like so. Right, this is the extensor digitorum on the inside, right? And then we've still got this peroneus longus that also appears on the inside, right? So we've pretty much kind of carved in everything we need to carve in so far. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the clay tubes brush, and then I'm going to use that to start working up some of these shapes that we got here. All right, remembering how they flow. All right. One more time. I'm just going to divide it one more time. That's too much. I'm going to go back one. And then just do all right, and as you guys can see, as I start to sculpt them out, right, add a little bit of mass to them, they're starting to come alive. So BDS again, all right, so we can then further demarcate these guys from each other. All right. I'm gonna give a little bit of volume to our calves, both sides. Make sure that I'm getting how it kind of ties into the, important BDS, right? And then I can get my clay play tubes, right? Go BCT. Just gonna give it a little more girth right here. Give it a little more volume. All right. Actually taper this down. And I'm going to add this little knobby for the ankle over here. And remember, this guy's at a slant. So, boom, this guy ends right in here. A little higher up. Alright. So you're always going to have kind of like a... Here we go. And you can thin this out, right? You can definitely taper, right? Taper this guy down. Go BDS. All right. Taper him down. Just giving the foot a little more volume. Shift to smooth. There we go. Much better. Right, and as you guys can see, it's starting to take shape with very little work. Right, you're not, and all I've done is just BDS. Really kind of just start somewhere, end somewhere. Start somewhere, end somewhere. All right, and then I go back with the Damien standard. All right, boom, like so. You got, all right. Make sure this goes all the way up there. All right. Okay, BCT, and then I'm going to use that to BDS, Danian standard. it out again. All right. Sculpt, smooth, sculpt, smooth. All right. Yeah, I don't, you guys have seen me only use maybe 3 brushes for this, and the thing is, you can get a lot of stuff done in ZBrush with very minimal brushes, right? You don't need 10,000 brushes or every single alpha or, the latest and coolest gadgets and gadgets, the Damien standard, the clay tubes, maybe a little flattened, the move tool, right? You're well on your way to sculpting something decent. All right, and you can see that I'm still working relatively low. All right, you can see how pixelated my sculpt is. Yeah. Okay. All I did was I went up 1 subdivision. All right, so I'm gonna go B, C, T again. And I'm just gonna work the muscles a little bit more. Let's go. Turn on my lazy mouse. I'm gonna shift to smooth these out. Go BDS. All right. You can see there's an origin, right? There's a start and a finish. Start and a finish. No floating muscles or, any of that stuff. All right. Go BCB. And even with this, I can go BMV, right? Instead of sculpting, I can go back now, right? And then just use the move tool to start making adjustments to some of these proportions if I want to. All right, I can pull it down to give it a longer head, right? And I can pull this out a little bit to give it a little bit of depth. All right. Calf muscle thing popping. All right. BCT, BDS. Smooth. So Control Z this. All right, go down a couple levels. And then let's smooth this out. All right. Let's do. There's a few muscle groups in here that I'm missing. I'm gonna rectify that. All right, and this is why it's so good to work in when you're in lower, views. All right, so for this, the exterior. Just looking at my reference. Just making sure my reference and what I'm looking at is correct. Because I could put these in the wrong place and I'd have it looking super off. Alright, so you guys can see. Trying to put these muscles in the right place. Alright, just gonna boom. Shift, smooth this guy out, and then for the interior, now you're getting the soleus and the flexor on the inside, and these guys, they tie in at the base of this interior of the ankle. All right. All right, it's gonna be hard, it's not super visible whenever, when you lay the skin over it, but these muscles are there. Oops. Okay. So what I did there was I used a clipping mask. Let me show you what I did. So my feet are kind of like right now, so I shifted to the back right here to make them flat. I had down Control and Shift, and that gives me a clipping mask. Everything under that gray, right under the dotted line, is going to be clipped flat. All right, just like that. And in reality, obviously you've got, you've got the soles of your feet and stuff. But yeah. Just wanted to. And if I do the same here, oh no, it just flattens everything out. All right. All right. All right, so it's always important to kind of remember how these guys are grouped. All right, we've got the grouping of the quads, the calf, right? Remember that everything is kind of tilting inward this way, right? It's not like a straight line up and down. Same for the side. You've got, some very interesting things going on, right? It's not just a straight line or just, you've got undulating kind of distribution of mass happening in the legs. So with that all said and done, let me go BDS. like that's where the the flat of your shin bone is usually right here. It's like a flat area where there's no muscle. The muscles kind of try to attach to it, but it's like a flat area right there. All right, so I'm just putting all of the little landmarks in, the little pieces in there, and you know, we can move on to the feet a little bit. With the feet, I would approach it like we did the hands, right? Where we started with Z spheres, and then we made the toes and everything like that. So in this situation, I haven't done that. So what I can do is I can kind of start either dividing them like that, or I would just go and start with a new Z sphere. All right, BCB. All right. So at this point, you can even try to remesh it. See what my geometry looks like. It just cleans it up. Then I can go back and divide it, get something smoother. And BCT, right? So these, you know, turn off my clay tubes. It's too much. Reduce the intensity to 1, 2, or 3, and then you can get something subtle. All right, a little more subtle. Right, everything I'm doing right now is kind of on the nose when it comes to like, all right, I'm defining it, right? But when you get into the real deal, right, where there's skin over it, well, a lot of this kind of blends in, right? The skin would fill in, right, a lot of this stuff. So you wouldn't see this unless somebody's kind of actively flexing or they're like really vascular. All right, but if I don't know where these are, it's going to be hard to put them in place whenever I need to. All right. I'm just going to go back here. Got your obliques, abs, whatnot. All right. So yeah, that's the leg. I want you guys to go attempt this for yourselves, all right? And post your updates in the chat. All right. I won't be in class for the video today, but I will be around. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about what's going on or what you need to do, well, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be near my computer. I just won't be able to log in video with you guys. That's why I'm recording the class beforehand. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to post, do your quizzes, assignments, help each other out in the chat, do what you need to do. Yeah, and I'll see you guys on Thursday, because Tuesday I won't be here for the lecture. There's no lecture on Tuesday. So Thursday is the next time I'll see you guys. And yeah, good luck to you guys. If you have any questions between now and Thursday, feel free to ask. And if you guys need to make an appointment to, have a one-on-one, feel free to do that as well. I will be available for those, I think Wednesday on. Like I said, I've got some a doctor's appointment tomorrow or Tuesday. That's why there's no class, but tomorrow I've recorded my class for you guys. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what you guys put together and, put up and your studies and stuff. So, yeah, have fun, do your best, and I'll see you soon.